Alrighty, we're back in Cathhausen. Okay, so I mean there is no real safe system, it's an auto-safe system. And apparently the last checkpoint was maybe 2 3 minutes behind. That's not a problem. I mean, we had a goat simulator. I did not expect a cat simulator where you could just jump on random things and just throw everything down. muggers trying to hurt Kitty. In this game, the only downside, I read a couple of reports or reviews of people, not story spoiling, just in general how they like the game, and the only real downside to this game is apparently it's not very long. After 6 or 7 hours, you're done. But beside that, people just enjoyed this game. Thought at first we could roll on top, but apparently we need to go into the barrel. Physics. Thought we had to use this to jump on top and then onto the roof. Oh no, but that's not possible. How do I get further here? Can't go here. And there's no path forward here. We can't jump that distance. We can't jump on top of that. Ah! Yeah, we need to get up there and then there and then... But how do I get on top of that? Oh, that's interesting. So if we meow, the game tells us where we have to go, and obviously we have to go there. Obviously we have to go there, but how do I get on top of that? bit hilarious. Obviously, there is some sort of story going on in this game. The robots and stuff and humans disappeared. It would be hilarious if there's an actual story that we can witness but do not partake in. For example, I don't know, robots versus humans, a big fight, a clash, a showdown, a boss duel, something like that. And then we'll just stroll into the sunlight or just don't care as an ordinary cat. Why would a cat interact with that? Just witnesses and be like, oh, humans, oh goodness. I'm going to search a good shaded spot to lay down. That would be a bit hilarious. I'm not sure if the game will do that, but one can hope. So, apparently, probably we have to find something we can pick up with our... yes. And then we have to put it in there. Yeah, game, I know. It's obvious. Wait, why did it stop the moment we took that? That's a bit disturbing. I mean, obviously someone is watching us and controlling these mechanical devices, electronic devices, but why? Flat. Okay, so the next step of this is an apartment. Oh my goodness, this looks like my old room when I was a child. I also had a big monitor like that. Back in the days, these were the only ones. There were no flat monitors. And boy, oh boy, these were ginormous and ridiculously heavy. A while back, friend of mine, he found one of these and he wanted to play on an old Nintendo, I believe. So he got this ancient monitor, and with the two people, we well, carried it up the stairs to his apartment, and boy, that was ridiculously heavy. Even as a grown-up male, and I'm going to the gym, so I have some strength on my arms, and still, I was 25, 30 kilos, something like that. It was ridiculously heavy for a television. I mean, sure, some 90 inches televisions are also 25, 30 kilos, but they're 90 inches. That bad boy there is much smaller. And interestingly enough, some of these old televisions slash displays had very good picture quality. Even back in the days, they already had something like HD, 720 to 480 pixels or even higher, and high refresh rates, something that even today isn't that common. So they had high quality, but they were ginormous, and the depth you needed to place them was a bit ridiculous. I mean, you can see that. That's the depth that you needed. That's a bit, yeah. That was the past. Nowadays we have this ultra thin 2-3 centimeters, millimeters thin OLED TVs of extraordinary quality, but that was back in the days. Interestingly enough, keyboards didn't really grow that hard. There was no keyboard revolution, sure. Now we have mechanical switches, and even Razer and a couple other companies are doing optical switches, or even a hybrid version between mechanical and optical switches. So there's a sort of light barrier, and every time you press a keystroke, the computer notices, aha, the light barrier was broken. Obviously, there's a key press. And that's quite interesting. But after all, it's still the same. It's not something extremely new. I mean, Microsoft tried to recreate the keyboard in a way with their ergonomic keyboards, or even splitting it in half. There are some ergonomic keyboards that have some elevation the further you go up to the keys, and they're split so you can rest your hand more easily. But still, there wasn't a huge revolution. Same with a computer mouse. I mean, there is none here, oddly enough. There was no big evolution there. Even though I do like the technology of Razer and Logitech, and a couple other companies, I believe, of a mouse that sits on a pad, and it has wireless charging pads or coils inside the pad. And the mouse does not have a battery, so the battery can't degrade. The mouse is getting the energy in the moment it's being used from the pad beneath. So in theory, it should work endlessly, except if something mechanical inside the mouse breaks down. It's cool tech, and you're completely wireless. The mouse is very lightweight, and you have no battery degradation. So I kind of like that tech, even though it's not the most reliable. I had some problems with it. I have such a keyboard. Razer Mamba, I believe, is Firefly Mamba or something like that's the name. Sometimes the mouse doesn't get energy, at least in certain stages. I found out that if I place my keyboard about 10 centimeters onto the left side of the pad, then my mouse always gets energy. I don't know why. It's stupid, it's bullshit, but it works. So, I mean, it's first generation product, so a couple kinks and quirks, okay, acceptable, but still it's annoying. But there's still no revolutionary thing, at least in an optical sense. It doesn't really look different. But compare an OLED TV to that monstrosity, I mean, what the heck? Hilarious. Oh, cats love to do that, especially on couches. I know families that have animals, cats or dogs, and 24/7, 365 days a year, they have these blankets put on their couches. I think it's a bit hilarious, but there is no other solution since these families were apparently not capable, or at least they didn't manage to, well, train their pet. Meow, meow, meow. So they kind of succumb to reality and just try to treat the symptoms instead of the cause. And the cause, in this case, of course, the animal that is unwilling to do what the human wants. Something you always have to keep in mind, it doesn't matter if it's a dog or a cat or a bird, animals have personalities. Sure, they can't think the way we do or talk, but some are grumpy, some are friendly, some are anxious, some will like strangers, some will be afraid of strangers, some will attack strangers, some will be aggressive, and animals can also have trauma. So, for example, if you have an animal that suffered from a previous owner violence, it can have PTSD, it can have trauma, and it can have trigger moments when this PTSD, this trauma, will break out. So animals do have emotions. Never forget that. If you get 3 dogs, these 3 dogs will not be identical. And that is very important to know if you deal with your animal. You need to properly address their emotions. Otherwise, you will not be a good owner. For a nanosecond, I believed that we had to press certain keys, but that would be ridiculous, hilarious. Why would a cat be able to do that? In the game, of course, just smash your hand over the keyboard and see what happens. Or maybe the other side, robots, humans, whatever, they know that a human is controlling this cat. But that would be a bit ridiculous. It's an interesting game. Of course. Backslash backslash backslash. What's our next message? Our next message is backslash backslash dot. No, what? No, what are you doing, cat? No, stop. Double backslash. Point. DX9 question mark I backslash NQ. And we're going to finish this with a magnificent double backslash YXBW percentage mark 5IM exclamation mark 6NNU dash. No, not dash. Point LWVF9. Translated into enter the door, turn on, find him. Why turn on? Turn what on? Enter the door, okay, find a buddy, okay. But why turn on? We're going to turn on what? Oh, this is beautiful. That's exact. Interestingly enough, you might see this green and red. Your TV also has that. Even though, of course, if RGB, you have 3 colors. And there is a big problem with mimicking white. There are different scenarios, different technologies that are employed by LG or Samsung. Those, by the way, are the only panel makers of significance, especially if we talk about OLED. For a while, LG was the only OLED maker. Now that we have this new OLED technology, this QOLED by Samsung, they are back in the OLED field of TVs. But back in the days, LG was the only manufacturer of OLED panels for TVs. Samsung only was making tablet or smartphone sized panels. And that means that whatever you bought, Panasonic, Sony, Telefunken, LG, whatever, they all have the same panels. So yes, the chassis, the box might differ, the software might differ, but at the end of the day, did the cat just... This cat is sentient. At the end of the day, that was the same, and now we have a bit of competition. And there are different technologies, different attempts to mimic white, decent white, clear white. And one of these attempts is to use specialized layers of a certain light, certain color, that will diffuse the light that the pixels shine in a certain way to achieve a certain amount of color. Or a certain absence of color, so to speak. And it's quite complicated. It's just interesting to see these individual pixels. And if you look very, very closely, for example, even a 4K monitor will still have these small pixels. Of course, there will be millions of pixels, since 4K, 3800 and no. Even though that technically that's just UHD. True 4K has 4120 pixels. That's the difference between cinema format, real 4K, and home format, that which you will get in a 4K phone or a television. So keep in mind, if you buy something labeled 4K as a consumer, chances will be it's not true 4K. It's only UHD, Ultra HD. There is a difference between Ultra HD and 4K. Okay, enough of that. That's the end of our episode. We're going to end it with a double backslash question mark WOMVBBQB. No, It's a G. Q U N P Q Q Q Q Q Q.